out there. Hang on, let me cut this window a bit. Kill some of the background noise out there. That's a little better. Here we are once again. It's Saturday. Can you tell how happy I am? But there is one thing that has me smiling. And that's the fact, that Doctor Who is like 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. The one source that all haters go to and then beat their chest and go, oh, Rotten Tomatoes said it sucked. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm not kidding. There's some people out there I'm so worried that if they ever tried to think on their own, or come up with their own arguments or, speculation, that their heads might explode. And I just spit at the camera. I had a Rassalon moment there, didn't I? It's just amazing to me. They've been banging their heads, screeching about that all this time. And yet now, the second season of Doctor Who, which they've declared a woke diversity hire, ultra fair, is now at 98% on Rotten Tomatoes as of like yesterday. And I'm like, certified 98% fresh. But the thing is, you can't base anything off it, though. I just love the fact that it's blowing up in their faces, but at the same time, it's very, very easy to fool these sites. Online polls can be manipulated. I don't care how well programmed the website is. I don't care how well thought out your whole format is or whatnot. It's just the law of the jungle, the internet jungle. Oh man, it's like I'm just sitting here thinking, looking around me and all these younger folks that are coming up. I'm like, what the hell are you going to do when the asteroid hits? What are you going to do when the super volcano blows? And all those nifty little gadgets you had to get yourself by are gone. Then people wonder why there's Graham Hancock isn't the only one to believe there was probably a lost ancient civilization, because one of the things I could never stand, and I was glad I was broke of this habit when I was young, why should I do all this math in my head when I have a calculator? Why should I do spelling, these days when I have a spell checker on my phone? Why should I, do this? Because, I have some piece of technology that'll do it for me. And it's like, yeah, but what happens when you don't have that piece of technology to do it for you? What's going to happen? I'm not kidding. I know of like 1 billion people who are just going to go, I can't mention that evil suicide word. Oops, I did it. That are going to go nuts and jump off of buildings the day an EMP hits that wipes out the internet. I'm not kidding. It's like you might have to actually complain to people in person and deal with the consequences. Well, we still believe there are some structures on planet Baldness. Hang on, let's take a look. That one looks kind of funny over there. But okay, I know, I can't stand, the euphemisms that are coming up. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, look up a video called George Carlin Euphemisms. And it's a classic example of what's happening and still happening to this very day, about how we use soft language to try to make things easier to understand. And I'm sorry, folks, but telling someone that you said something that they disagree with is committing violence on them. It's like when someone walks up and smacks you across the top of your head, that's violence. Someone, planks you one with a 4x4 across your ass, that's violence. Anything that offends you is not violence. It's offensive to you, but no. I'm getting sick of that crap. by disagreeing with this person, you're opening up to violence. I'm like, hold the phone. Wait a minute. I am so glad that these folks were not around during World War II. Speaking against Hitler's just going to make it worse because you're showing violence. Yeah, but what about the 6 million Jews he's killing? Oh, God. And I used another word that I don't think you're allowed to say anymore, and that's Jews or Jewish. I love this, folks. They had to shut down a movie production. And Gal Gadot had to leave the scene because of the pro-Palestine protesters that showed up. That right there shows me the educational level that is going on in our colleges, especially when you have gay students openly protesting for Palestine and Hamas. It's like, do you know what happens to gay people in Palestine, especially when Hamas is involved? Oh yeah, you'll go to high places all right in Palestine being gay, because they'll take you to the top of the nearest highest building and throw you off. That's exactly what they do there. Yet the one country who supports gay rights, who basically retaliated against an unwarranted attack, and I'm loving how everybody's still coming up for excuses for that attack. Well, they had no choice but to attack Israel. You know, they didn't? I'm not kidding. Go look at the history of the conflict for you to decide what side you're on. And even then, why is it any damn business of yours? No, what really upset me were Jewish students were being denied access to their own campus here on the United States soil based off something that's going on thousands of miles away that has nothing to do with them. Nah, I don't know. As much as I love Sam Kinison, I would literally give body parts just to have a 1 hour special with George Carlin over to current events and things that have happened just in the last decade. I'm not kidding. Now, well, I'm not going to get into the whole Israel-Palestine argument with you because Palestine, like I said, Israel gave up this, they gave up that, they gave up this, they gave up that. Hamas takes charge, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, Hamas is a terrorist organization, and that's all they ever will be. That's the bottom line. And me, I really don't care. I have no dog in that fight. What I'm saying, though, is here on American soil, don't attack people because they belong to a country that's currently at war somewhere else. You see what I'm getting at? Just because, the Jewish people somewhere else are doing something you don't feel is right does not mean you have the right to block and, harass Jewish people on American soil. These students have about as much to do with what's going on between Israel and Palestine right now as I did with the invention of the wheel. Okay? That's the point I'm trying to hammer home. It's not our fight. And then sadly, America, I really wish we'd learn to quit getting involved in everyone else's fights. Or, a matter of fact, well, then again, considering America probably engineered half of them via the CIA and a bunch of other nasty little things like the NSA and whatnot. But Gal Gadot has about as much to do with what's going on in Israel right now as I do, with the fact that Jenna Coleman came up pregnant at the same time as Karen Gillan did. Okay? That little, okay? I've been accused. No. Right. I was not there. I know. like I said, let's get off this here. Yeah, I'm loving the fact that there's these compilation videos now on YouTube of Rodney Dangerfield, and there's so many of these young guys and young, men and women who are watching this stuff in reaction videos and laughing their freaking ass off. Even now in this time and date, his stuff is still being appreciated. So I got to say that, especially, George Carlin. I'm not kidding. You wouldn't believe how many people are watching George Carlin videos now. And it's like they're finally coming to the realization that, us older folks already have. The guy was a frickin' genius. He saw what was coming years before it happened. But sadly, it's because we keep repeating the same patterns over and over and over again. Well, now, originally I was going to get on here this morning, and it's like, sorry to get deep and meaningful on you, but also, like I said, there's a bunch of college students walking around, wearing masks, and kafirs and all that stuff, here in this country. And I'm like, guys, if you went over to that country and did the same thing you're doing right now, they would kill you. They don't give a flying fuck at a rolling donut about you. And also, like I said, we keep getting involved with fights that aren't ours. I still die laughing at people saying, well, you can't keep a secret this big for so long. Really? Because we didn't find out till the 90s that the Gulf of Tonkin incident, that little thing that led us into the Vietnam War, led to the death of 58,000 servicemen, that and countless, probably well over 1 million Vietnamese. The Gulf of Tonkin incident didn't happen. It was a sham. It was a farce. It was a hoax. I love the fact that we don't even question the fact that we had 3 buildings in New York all neatly fall into their own footprints, one of which wasn't even hit by a goddamn airplane. But we have this feasible explanation for why it happened. There is none. I'm not kidding. You'll notice when shit's up and shit's gone wrong, when A, nobody gets fired, nobody gets reprimanded, or even better yet, when you find out later the people who did try to warn the people that something was going to happen were all silenced and censored. And also when all the laws of Newtonian physics go right out the window, some serious shit has gone down. And look at how many conspiracy theories that conspiracy theorists were running around screeching about for all these decades, and they turned out to be right. Except for those imbeciles about the Titanic. Okay, all that shit was garbage. But what I'm trying to say is this. I don't know. What am I trying to say, really? Well, yes, we do get Memorial Day off. I think it's May 26th this year, if I remember correctly. We also get Juneteenth. I'm still trying to figure out, well, like I say, I've looked it up, but I'm like, how come we weren't celebrating this before? How come we aren't celebrating the day, JFK was killed? How come we aren't celebrating, all these, there's a billion other different days in this country we should be celebrating. But well, folks, what can you do? I just don't like it when I see people get bullied for no reason other than, well, your country's doing this. It's like, well, I'm not in my country right now, and I'm like a teenager going to college, or in my early 20s going to college, which means I've had nothing to do with anything that's going on over there. And it's like, yeah, Gal Gadot was in the IDF, but that was years ago. It just seems to me like there's too many men, too many people making too many problems and profiting off the fact that they can keep all of us divided. I'm sorry I got deep and serious on you, but I got to get inside. Whatever your opinions, feel free to share them down there in the comment box. I'll be happy to read them. I'm not going to, mark them bad or anything like that anymore. Like I said, I'll just read them and say, okay, I either agree or disagree with you, and that'll be the end of it. Take care, everyone. I got to run inside. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And we'll see you all Monday morning back here in the parking lot.